Let's see. There were some problems with the settings of the live. I'm not sure if anyone is here yet. I need to probably. I was accidentally put it as a stream, and this is why the delay. I need to probably put this link to the other one that I created. Let's see. Hey, it's good that people, at least some people, find their way here. Hi, everyone. I'm all right. Just feeling like I still don't know how to use this YouTube Live properly. But yeah, I see at least like 50 people have joined, so you found your way here. That's very good. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm actually today I haven't been doing too much stuff today. It was some training. Yesterday I had a lot of like boxing stuff. I'm doing good. Hello, Devans. Hi. Yes. How is your Saturday? Are you just been resting, or do you work on Saturdays as well, or weekends? Yeah, go ahead and ask. Yash. I train online, yes, as well. Training programs, and then there's online coaching that I do. Optimal muscular health. Well, first of all, I think it's good to a little bit like start with training, like get your first priorities right, like the sort of, how would I say, the approach in the training. Like if you want to have sort of optimal strength of optimal development, then focus on right things in the training. So don't focus on the sort of external things first, which would be, let's say, the amount of weight or the amount of reps or something like this way. Start to focus on actually what you want to achieve. So if you want to have a health body and you want to have flexibility, so focus on these things in your training. This is very important. Some people, they want to achieve something from their training, but they focus on completely like other things that don't really or are not necessarily related in any way. How to lose weight, belly fat? The most common question, right? Well, there's a simple answer: is a good lifestyle habits is my best way to lose belly fat, actually. And there's no tricks. You need to be quite disciplined with your eating. If you currently have a lot of fat, it probably means that you're not disciplined with your eating, and you're eating just like all the time, maybe some snacks or eating too much treats. So it's about getting rid of these bad diet habits, setting some or replacing them with good ones, eating whole foods, nutritious foods, and training. Yep. These are the very last moments here in Finland, because we're so next month we're actually going to Taiwan. So it's kind of like feeling almost a little bit nostalgic. It's been a really nice year in Finland. So far, I think we've got achieved a lot this year as well with the new programs, creating these videos and all that. And it's been actually really nice to have so many of you guys with us and supporting, and just never take that for granted. How to lose weight? I don't know. Just coming back from a town cold as hell in West Yorkshire. Wow. Yeah, the craziest thing is, that there's absolutely like no snow in Finland right now. That is like, I don't think I've ever had this sort of winter in Finland, where there's like zero snow, just raining all the time. Working, good. I work almost every day as well. Let's see if I can keep up with all these questions. So many. Lazy so far. Well, sometimes that's good as well. You need your own time as well. Just focus on you. Hot yoga. I've actually never done hot yoga, but yoga can be, of course, really great, and sometimes it's like actually like surprisingly hard for musculars. You think like yoga is always like very relaxed and soft, and which some forms of it is, but also there's a lot of like, I think yoga that is like just it's very very hard. Good holds there. I use some like yoga holds in my own training, so it can be very good. High intensity training, I love like high intensity conditioning training as well. It's good, but it's that alone just usually doesn't keep the body in a very healthy shape. Working on developing any new program. There are some that I can't right now talk about, but there are some in like in planning. How to become handsome? Just be yourself, be healthy. I'd say like the way to handsome or beautiful or something like this is just to live well. And this is how you become handsome. Look handsome by yourself. Fastest way to clear the cold with training. I'd say so if you have bad cold, you probably shouldn't be training much. You actually need to let your body properly rest and just like make sure that you can do maybe a little bit of like fasting. Don't eat too much. Usually this is also good, but eat food with lots of vitamins like fruits, berries. Okay, GM Hub, you can ask a question. How to improve blood circulation flow? Well, this is actually interesting. I like this question because just training, actually, when you do like proper training, you're actually improving your circulation. But this like improving circulation is like part of what we actually go through in the new program that we have, which is the morning routine 20xx. So in the morning routine 20xx, actually part of this, like the routine after you wake up, there are certain things that you actually do like directly to improve your blood flow. This includes the sort of like a that comes from Qigong and Chinese medicine, which is like, we call it opening the meridians, which kind of is the form of like a self-massage way where you kind of slap yourself. And this way you can actually like, when you slap yourself and kind of, this improves the circulation as well. And there are other methods as well, like such as cold showers that you can also do. Cold shower is probably one of the best to improve your circulation. It feels a little bit rough, but it's really good. This is also in the morning routine. So if you want something to really wake your body up right from the morning, I recommend to check the morning routine 20xx. There's also a training routine that is very important. So all sort of movement is there to like make you sort of make things in your body flow. This is what it's about. This is often like if you just sit around, you're becoming stagnant. Nothing is moving, nothing is pumping. Like you need to make your heart work. Your heart is pumping the blood, and once you exercise, for example, you take the cold shower or something, the heart starts to work and it starts to build or move the fluids and blood inside yourself. So be active. That's probably the best way, the most natural way. Croatia again. Well, I can't really say. I might want to visit Croatia at some point for sure. At least like some of maybe the coast cities, because I didn't spend much time there. I was just in Zagreb. The correct way to breathe abs. There's actually multiple ways, because like you sometimes hear about this, like pull your stomach in. You can make your stomach sort of flat. So when you're breathing abdominal as so sometimes you just like pull the stomach sort of inwards, creating pressure. Then there's the other way, you just like push it outward. So you're sort of like crunching, and that's also one of the methods. You can also sort of breathe in, and then you expand the belly. So there's multiple ways to actually contract depending on like which type of an exercise you do. And it's not, this is many times the core bracing. In some I think people they recommend only one method and think that that's the only good way, but there's multiple ways that you can actually contract the belly. But the most important thing sometimes, which I actually realized a little while ago, is that people often look at like certain like a core activation, that it should look certain way, that then you know that your core is supporting or it's bracing you. But the most important thing is that you feel that it's supporting you. this is what you need to focus on. If you don't exercise, does it feel like it's strong? Do you feel like it's actually rigid, like it's supporting your movement or keeping you upright or straight? This is what you want to be focusing on, instead of maybe obsessing with a certain bracing mechanic as well. But if you want more detailed about the core bracing, I would probably check out the Athlete 20X program. That is where I go through this how to keep the core stable drills a lot. It comes down to core stability, basically. Chronic. I enjoyed incorporating on exercise. I had chronic fatigue syndrome for 3 years and had to stop training that I was doing to get into the military. I'd like to get back into parkour. That's really actually cool to hear that you have gotten back to training. I'm not sure, what causes this sort of chronic fatigue things. Is it overtraining or something like this? Sometimes this happens when we don't listen to our body. But yeah, I think parkour might be a good option to actually train. I think it's probably hard to overtrain by doing parkour, so go for it. You do yoga. That's good, Josh. Listening to your body is one of the best things that I've learned to do in my life. Like usually, like most of the time, whether it's training or diet, I try to listen to what is going on inside me and follow that feeling. Carbs don't necessarily hurt your chances of losing belly fat, but you have to look at your own situation, and think about what kind of carbs are you digesting. For example, simple like sugars are carbs, or this sort of very simple carbs that you get from just like white bread or white rice. Those might be, because those are something you just kind of use to stuff in your mouth and you don't get very full and just keep eating and eating at them. So they might be something that can hurt. Not necessarily I can eat carbs. They don't cause me to any negative effects in a way, but you need to look at your situation, and it's a good chance that they might be at least very simple carbs. I don't speak any Arabic, just English and Finnish, pretty much. Stand up. Maybe I should stand up. Feel more energetic. I figured, last time I was in the chair over there on the table, but I thought that maybe if I show you some exercise, I could do it here on the tatami. You want to build muscle doing weights, but I need to do some sort of gymnastics or movement training. Yes. So you have a herniated disc in your spine, and so I guess you want to still build muscle doing weights, but you need to do something for the spine. So the first priority is pretty much, if I have a problem like that sort of in the body, I would say, of course it's understandable you want to be building muscle and all this stuff, but the priority as having a spine thing, this should be your main, in a way, focus. Understand your body, what is going on in your body that is causing you to have a herniated disc. This should be the main thing that goes kind of on top of everything else, because that is your way. Getting a healthier body is your way to becoming, or that's the way to become really feel good in your body anyway, and that usually also leads to building better muscle and all that stuff. So if you just focus on the building muscle, that's kind of that shouldn't be the first priority at all. So make sure that you focus on just maybe first approach it with the softer movements. You can do some stuff, flowing stuff. Just make sure you get some movement to your spine. Go try to cover all the different articulations, arching, rounding here and here, at least within the limits where you don't feel any sort of pain. This is usually the first thing. Just get your normal mobility, normal movement back in the spine area. That's usually, I think, a very, very good start that you can do just by yourself. And if you need a program for that, well, any of our programs usually contain actually good movement for the spine. But especially the new morning routine 26 has this, all of this covers every single possible movement that you can do with the spine in a very soft manner that's kind of low impact, which is good to do if you have some sort of injury. But after you get this normal movement cover and you're kind of feeling strong, I recommend isometrics. These are a very safe form of training that you can do for your spine. Just for example, being in this kind of position, holding your back straight, people don't know how to stand, but when they do like from like rows or something like this, that they're actually training heavily the postural muscles in the back, and just holding this position is good training. Although it may seem very sort of simple. So soft movement combined with some isometrics can be a really good combination, and don't on the weights or muscles. Get yourself healthy. Good beard. Thank you. Yes, from Helsinki. So my name is Eero Westerberg. That's my full name. My second name is Juhan. Eero Juhan Westerberg. Thank you, sir. Do you like the vlogs? Fruitful channel. Yes, like the muscular endurance is more important than like just pure strength. For example, let's say a strength to do like to lift a lot of weights or like produce a lot of strength like in a short period of time. But if that's all you can do, like, because you understand that if you're doing like a fight or if you do any sports, then you need to be able to maintain your energy and maintain your strength for a longer period of time. And if you can't do this, you'll just be destroyed. This is what I've noticed. So muscular strength endurance is kind of the right term. It's not just endurance. If you're too weak and you just only have endurance, that is also not good. So there needs to be some sort of balance. But yes, strength endurance is more important than just like absolute strength. Which program do you recommend to start with for someone who is skinny fat and wants muscle but also move well? Okay, so I would say actually all of our 3 programs are good for building muscle. So because any sort of training to do, any sort of resistance that you keep for your muscles is a stimulus for them, and it will build, whether it's body weight training or whether you use weights, something like this. All of these will actually build muscle very, very well. So to move well, this would sound, but yeah, it's also sound like you're kind of a beginner anyway. Like so, I would say maybe movement training is probably best for this. Because you get to move your body, whole body, and do also very basic strengthening for each part of the body. There's going to be, we're going to cover many different pressing patterns, many different pulling patterns, many different squatting patterns for the whole body. So this will build really nicely muscle, and it's not being skinny fat doesn't really that much make a difference. Whether you're skinny fat or you're just normally fat, you still, the good training is good training and it's going to benefit you. And strengthening with good quality, but also I would say like just doing the animal movements, also for dance movements, all this, it gives a huge wide base. The movement training is like of different, covering from martial arts to dance to yoga. So this will give you a really nice base for well-rounded and good movement, and also building muscle. And also I must say that it's good to keep the diet also in check. So don't eat a lot of or avoid treats and sugary stuff, and just eat nutritious, good foods. This is very basic stuff. Split session on the library steps, the rain on ice. yeah, I think I actually, okay, lucky you don't catch cold. I think I caught the cold maybe a little bit because we were shooting some pictures outside and it was quite cold as well. Breathing. Stand up, please. Mm. Beginner core exercises. Okay, this is easy to show to you. Just, a very basic crunch when you do it right is really good for beginner as a beginner exercise. But it can be actually, I've noticed for some people when I coach them, it's actually too hard. So in that case, just put your arms here. This way to give a little bit weight forward. And with good control, you can work. But this really emphasizes the upper area right here, right? Because I'm using this contracts, but this really makes me kind of, or this is the muscle group that shortens here, the upper abdominals. So to kind of balance it out, this works the upper abs. To work the lower abs, all you need to do is, for example, lift your legs here. I think a beginner variation good is this one. If you want to lift harder, you just do like leg raises like this manner. But for beginners, you may want to just bring your knees here and keep this stable the whole time. This keeps lower back on the ground, not moving like this manner. Keep it still. So those are very good. And like to work the upper and lower abdominals, and then any sort of just made a video about the planks, by the way. Just doing this sort of plank where as a beginner version, I recommended this lower back. You will flatten it out, even curve it a little bit. Make sure you keep that back flat and hold this for a minute or so. Very good beginner exercises. Oops. Let's see. Thank you, Monk Seraphim. That means a lot. Let's see. A lot of questions. How your movement are so smooth? Flexibility or long-term practice is the key. This is how anything like having a smooth movement or movement that looks sort of effortless. The way to this is really like you just need to keep repeating and practicing, and it's kind of like it is partly a skill. When you move, of course, it develops attributes like flexibility and your strength and your mobility, but there's still a certain or this creates adaptability like this. If you have these attributes, you can move almost in any posture very quickly. You can adapt to these things without even that much practice. But in the end, like moving really smoothly comes down to just moving, and teaching your body the skill. So long-term practice, and then at the same time working on attributes. For example, well, the movement 20x is of course the good moving there is based on repeating this movement. But then like the athlete 20x, for example, being a good mover there is based on training these attributes. This is like the difference that sometimes I try to explain about these two programs. Like movement 20x, you do movements. Athlete 20x, you actually train the sort of what is behind the movement. You isolate the certain things that movement consists of. Let's say the stability, mobility, and explosions, for example. You want to increase muscle mass, but don't be stiff. Well, for this purpose, you can make sure when you do exercises again, focus on like good control. Whenever you good control and full range of motion is very good. This way, when you use a full range of motion and control, when you do exercises, you're actually still maintaining a normal range in your joints. So this is very important, and it builds a lot of muscles. This is the same thing. Like whenever if you slow down when you do, for example, a push-up, like right here, you just do this a little bit slower. You can count, for example, 5 seconds down, and then you can count 5 seconds up. And it's incredibly difficult. A normal, like a basic push-up that most people think is a little bit easy, perhaps. Use time under tension there, and it's enormously good for your muscle building. But the other thing about not being stiff is doing a variety of exercises. So usually the stiffness comes when you just like you're too focused on maybe a couple of exercises, couple of lifts where you might want to become stronger or better. And this is not very good for like structural balance because your body is capable of so many different types of movements. So to not be stiff means that you're able to move into all those directions, able to do many different exercises. And sort of course, you can't do all of those at once, but gradually you need to cover all the different articulations, both not just in the closed chain exercises. So closed chain is, for example, a squat here. So I'm anchored, but both legs are anchored to the ground, and then you can do a squat. Open chain is when the leg moves freely, and this area is not anchored to anything. So this is also very important that you master both closed chain exercise and the open chain exercises, because the open chain exercises usually allow you to move the joint through their full ranges of motion. And for example, this, I would say if you need a program for this, Athlete Twin X is the best choice, because many have been able to build many kilos of muscle with the Athlete Twin X, and it also covers all of these articulations, so it doesn't make you too stiff into one direction. No problem, Joshua. I'm really glad if the videos help. That's why I keep making them. What is the difference between? Well, it's the thing there. What is the difference between training using weight and training using body weight? Well, obviously, the difference is like the sort of external difference that you're not using any external resistance, any sort of external weight. Like this, probably which you already understand, but there isn't that much different in some manner. Let's say I do, even if I do like shoulder raises, like here, okay, and I can do this without the weight, with this way, with the body weight, or I can do it with the weight. And in some ways, I still use the same thing. I still try to use, I might use the same sort of control, same sort of muscle connection, same sort of stability from my shoulder blade. So in some ways, there isn't, it just adds weight, it's add resistance in that manner. But body weight training also, the thing about is maybe, let's say body weight training often contains the like exercise like movement training is just body weight, which means is that in body weight is this movement that we call like kind of natural. So you do them on the ground here, laying around like this way. You could say like body weight is sometimes called like more like natural type of movement. Maybe you do the lizard crawl like here, or you just do like the monkey walk or something. And then as opposed to weight training is something that you do is more, it's not just like freestyle movement. Weightlifting is more, at least like in my training, when I lift weights, more strict form type of training. So I'm setting up a certain posture, right? If I do like a press or something, I'm not moving here or there. I have very strict goal in what I do in my training. Let's say I want to train the shoulders, something, I set the posture, core stability, and all this. And I have a very direct goal usually when I do weightlifting. But in bodyweight training, a lot of stuff that I do is the sort of like movement training, which is develops the body all over, overall the body in a very well done way. But there's also it go, as I said, they kind of go limit like this way. So the same training that I do with weights, I can also do with body weight. Every single time, every movement that you do with weights, whether it's a press or pulling, you can always do it with just body weight as well. But this way it requires more of a conscious control, because I can do, let's say, a row, for example, here, and I can use it, of course, for weights. People would think that you always need to use weights, but I can also actually squeeze and control my muscles, and this feels very, very hard. I can do each of those movements with just body weight as well. So there isn't always that sort of difference that people sometimes maybe think. I'm a martial artist and a gymnast. I love your videos. That's really nice to hear. You're training on your own, not with a capoeira or kung fu school like you would like to. Advice for solitary training. I mean, most of my training is solitary. I'm not sure if you want to be training martial arts as a by yourself, or do you mean like strength training? But I mean, let's see. Well, martial arts, of course, like solitary training is something that comes from me very spontaneously. It's just something that I want to do, and I think perhaps it's good if you feel like it's hard for you to train by yourself. You could maybe get a training program for yourself or something like this to help you go on through the day, and some routines and habits. I think this is very good if it doesn't come spontaneously. So sticking to some sort of a routine to help you, or getting ideas from videos like our on my YouTube channel. That will probably should help a lot. Thank you, Petruger, for recommending the courses. Does planche cause forward posture issue? Yes, if the planche can cause this sort of a forward posture issue, which you mean is like this forward, because you do planche always in this sort of posture, and you can actually see sometimes with gymnasts, and actually many times even with some calisthenics athletes as well, that they have this sort of posture, and this kind of like the traps are a little bit raised and shoulders are protracted. But this is not really like a direct cause from just doing planche, or that one exercise would cause this. It's the overall focus, too much focus on these calisthenic skills, that many of these skills use the same thing. So when you're doing the planche, you're doing this full protraction and trying to lean over right here like this way. But this sort of posture you can also use in front lever and some other things as well. And people usually emphasize this posture whenever it's like about gymnastics and calisthenics, and it's the overall focus on that posture in many exercises. Even in just normal plank, you always try to replicate that posture. So planche itself doesn't really cause it, but it's the too much focus on it and sacrificing your overall like well-roundedness for these skills. So this can hurt you. Yes, you can build muscle with isometrics, Bruno. I actually use isometrics nowadays a lot. And in the morning routine 20x, there is a full routine that goes through 20 different isometric holds, and I absolutely love that type of training nowadays, and I feel it has given me great gains, just feeling more solid overall and great for stability. Yeah, that's because so you started jiu-jitsu and your classes are really late, so it's hard to sleep afterwards. And do I have any advice on winding down? Because I noticed the same thing when I had really late MMA classes, and I just couldn't really sleep properly afterwards. Your body is so fired up, right? And I really didn't figure out too good of a way actually wind down because I no more I don't anymore have those late night classes. So that was a little bit problematic. But I would say that what might help is actually breathing. So maybe focusing on perhaps like just diaphragmatic calming breathing. So if you don't know what that means, it just means that you're breathing into your belly. So whenever you breathe, sometimes we breathe to the chest, and you notice the chest radius, and then The other sort of breathing is when you breathe in and you're actually your belly expands, you're kind of breathing with the diaphragm, breathing the lower part of the lungs. And this is sort of naturally calming breathing, and this is actually the type of breathing that you do when you're sleeping. So actually consciously doing that type of breathing, calm deep breathing, might be a good way to wind you down. And perhaps also read, I don't know, maybe read a book, that might be good. And just overall don't make it worse by spending a lot of your time late night on the like phone, watching the phone and stuff, watching stuff that basically keeps up your dopamine and keeps you awake. So deep breathing and avoid bad distractions. Hello to Rasa, Serge. I'm going to watch the fights. Yep. Who do you think is going to win, Conor or Cowboy? What do you guys think? Are many of you watching actually UFC? If you want to, I'd be interested to know if many of you follow MMA or practice MMA or even watch UFC. Can you guide for equal strength MMA, etc.? Well, Qasim, so lactic capacity for muscles, reps and sets. Well, a good way that I actually use for MMA, the workout model that I use in the Warrior 20XX is one of my programs, comes from like MMA training, and it's a type of a format where you do so high intensity training where you do exercise for 30 seconds, 30 seconds of time, one exercise, then there's just like a 5 second of rest, and then you do again another exercise for 30 seconds. So there's in total there are 6 exercises, all of them are 30 seconds, and there's that 5 second of rest just to change between those exercises. So no rest. You just need to make sure that there's very little rest between the exercise that you do, and this way you keep the intensity high and build up this work capacity. You just need to keep pushing the limits. And sometimes this is actually very hard, and it's very much easier usually when you have a coach there to push you forward. And this is why I actually made the Warrior 20XX as a follow-along format, because I'm doing all those every single rep and exercise with you, because it's really challenging. You need to, like, if it doesn't challenge you mentally, the training, it probably isn't building up your lactic capacity. So, but there's no strict number of reps or sets. Just make sure you get exhausted. Adrela Denny, what has Adrela Denny asked? GP training. Yeah, it's possible that I missed some of the questions because there's lots coming. So in case you really want to get an answer, I recommend to maybe post it again. Hip rotation, active mobility, words. Which your online training course consists of pushing, pulling, squat, another. But how do you train your shoulder? Which training in the movement clinics is actually train shoulder? Well, almost all of the ground exercises train the shoulder. Almost all of the so people may have this idea that shoulder training is only like doing shoulder raises or something like this. But whenever you do any sort of pressing exercise, any sort of pulling exercise, is training your shoulder. This is so you need to look at an exercise. If your shoulder joint is usually moving in some direction, whether like if I do a pull, I'm actually training part of the posterior shoulder. The emphasis is on the lats, but heavily also the posterior delt here works. And for example, when we do the Bulgarian row in the movement clinics, is part of the pulling progressions, which is roll as like this manner. You're actually training heavily the rear deltoid. If you do a push-up, you're training the anterior deltoid. When we do, for example, in movement clinics, if we do the this Indo push-up here, so we're diving down this way, This also trains the front and the lateral deltoid, which is right over here. And the movement training all the time, whenever you're supporting yourself on all fours here, whether it's the monkey walk or the what is it, bear walk, or when you do crab walk, like this way, you're all the time, you're always supporting here some way through this structure, and it has to be the working the muscles. So they get working almost all ground movements when you are supporting with your hands, and also in the pulling and pushing movements, they also get worked. Also, not in they're not working in isolation. Wait. Let's see. Are your workout programs designed to complement one another? They do complement each other. Yes, all of the programs complement each other. The best way to work them, I think, is separately, because it's so different, such a different style of training them. So the best results come if you do like one phase where you focus on one type of training, you master that training, get all the benefits and gains from that, and after that you move on to another type of training to get gains from this. But there is a chance where you can also or combine two programs. And so you ask, for example, movement, and if you do a routine from each twice a week, that is also possible. Many, for example, people combine the athlete program so that they do the strength workout are kind of replaced from the strength workouts of movement twin axis are replaced with the athlete twin axis strength workouts, and then you just do the flow sort of the flow workouts from the movement twin axis. And if you do the warrior routine, there's also really good, if you want, you can do movement training from the movement program, and then you can do conditioning routines as sort of a strength workouts or replace them. So they can be combined very, very easily. And twice a week is also, it doesn't sound at least like too much at all. So if you just train twice a week, they will go really well together. You continue the question. One routine. I'd say do one program for full month, then change to the other. Let's see. How long did it take me to reach this level of fitness? Well, I've been training more or less for about a decade. I'd say so, about a decade, yeah. But it hasn't all been like some of the early years. I wasn't training as frequently as I am now, of course. But yeah, so this has to be where I'm now, around 10 years or so. But the early years, I would say that I didn't do that much, that frequently training, and it wasn't as good as nowadays. If I would think like if I would use the training methods I'm doing like nowadays, or would have used those right from the start, I would have made a much faster progress, and I would have kind of also avoided some of the pains that I had in my body much better manner. So in this way, like if you're asking like how long it will take you to reach a good level, it's I really recommend that you maybe search or use, for example, this is why I make the training programs, that you wouldn't repeat these mistakes that I did at the start, because you can make much even faster progress as well. This is what they're for. You can do one-arm pull-ups. Okay, but can this help me with fighting strength? Not necessarily. I'd say like the pulling strength, actually wrestlers use a lot of like pulling strength, so it can help, I think, a lot in, for example, wrestling or jiu-jitsu, because you're using the lats actually a lot to make like have really tight holds. And if you can do actually one arm pull-up, it means that you have a really strong back and probably bicep as well. So it might not, at least in some ways, it can help you make you stronger in certain movements. But overall, it's not so important. Like there are fighters who can barely do like any pull-ups, and they can still fight incredibly well. So it doesn't do harm, at least at all, and may even help you in some stuff. But I wouldn't count on it. Do you know if the monkey kung fu master lift weights? I do know that he has. I'm not sure if he's lifting right at the moment, that he has lifted quite a bit of weights as well as a part of his training. Wrist wrist strength. Even doing conventional press-ups can cause me wrist pain. I can show one of the things that I made a video about was a rice bucket, where you put like rice on this bucket and then you just move around your arm within those rice. This is a very good type of training for the wrist. Actually, I don't have the bucket right here, but I have a video on this channel where I show how to make this bucket and how to also train with it. That is a really good way to train the wrist. So just search for like WOW Fitness rice bucket, and you should find it. But other than that, again, we don't need any equipment. Just moving your wrist and forearms to sort of through a very good way is this. Like, let's say you contract your arm a little bit, like this way. There's a little bit contraction. If I slap this, it's sort of tight. And once you do that, then you can start to move your wrist in this manner in different directions. Also, like this sort of handshake style here, like this way. And this, by doing this sort of contraction, because usually you might just be like flopping around your wrist, but when you contract here, it actually becomes quite hard, and sort of the movement is a little bit stiff because it contracts here the muscle so hard. This is a very good warm up, but it's also very good strengthening for the arms. Like I can already feel it. Just doing that, my muscles start to get a little bit tired. It's also partly because I just yesterday was boxing so much, hitting the back, trains the wrist. But so just move that arm with the control to all the directions. That's always a good guidance regarding any joint that you want to be training. Knuckle push-ups for MMA. I think they can be good. Yeah, because I think this is part of. I think not too many MMA fighters actually focus on like hardening any parts of their bodies, and oftentimes they even break their hands. But the thing about it is that of course you're using a lot of like the protective, like the wrapping and the glove in MMA. So you in a way you might think that you don't need the hardening, but it does make a difference, and it does feel different when you have a harder fist. So yeah, knuckle push-ups can work for this. Let's see. Hello, sir. Pinpoint in my back. Can you tell any exercise for rehab? Okay, let's just quick show this. I think even in the last live I showed one of my favorite exercises, which is the wall deadlift. I made a video about it as well. So the exercise is where you're supposed to be leaning against the wall, and then you round and arch your back as this manner. This is one of the best overall, like training the extension of the spine, and you can get your whole erector spinae kind of pump. So this is very good. It might not fix the problem, but it does keep a lot of blood flow that we talk about in the start of this live call. A lot of blood flow to the back area and activating those muscles. And it can be as simple as just not really having that sort of normal movement. A lot of the time, the spine problems can be caused by just not having the normal movement in the spine. Another possibility is the hip area. I'm not gonna go to hip training right now, but I recommend to start with just return or doing good moving with your spine. This should get you quite far. Mm-mm. Okay, I think I need to be going perhaps quite soon. I try to see. You are asking a lot of questions. I really like this. This is a good way to answer to all the things you have in your mind. Mm. Kevin O'Donoghue, you were in Helsinki a couple of weeks ago. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm leaving Helsinki very soon actually to Taiwan. It is a nice city. Mm. Thank you, Srinivas. If your elbows pop while doing tricep exercises, you may not have to be worried. It's not all. The popping might be quite okay sign, but I recommend that you focus on smoothing out your movement because many times people they snap every time they do something. At the end day, for example, they snap the elbow. So try to use a little bit better control and see if you can get the popping or at least less popping. Hmm. I have plans to compete in MMA during this year. I would like to that to happen. So I think probably later this year, a little bit later this year. But I have plans in fighting in the MMA, and this is something I actually really want to do to challenge myself. Um, Main difference between athlete twin X and warrior twin X. Well, first of all, athlete twin X is super controlled, quite slow tempo training, focuses on the form. The form is the priority. Warrior twin X is, of course, the form. We want to have a form that keeps us safe, but the form is not the priority. In warrior twin X, the priority is intensity. We just go super hard. It's high intensity training. You can sometimes very fast-paced exercises, and it focuses on endurance. Athlete twin X focusing on building structural balance and different athletic attributes. So they're very different programs. Okay, any last questions? Let's see. What do I have? What do I do after working day when I have to sit down? Well, luckily, at least in my work, because I work from home basically, and my work is training and coaching people, is that I don't have too often these of days. Sometimes I have, like when I have, for example, a big project like a video I want to make, that means that I need to be sitting a lot, and it is a problem. I can feel like it makes yourself maybe a little bit stiff, and you just don't feel that good. And my recommendation is don't wait for the day to even end. Like have like maybe a timer in your phone that like kind of like alarms you every hour to maybe get up and do something. This is what I like to do. Like just try to get up every hour at least once and do maybe whatever sort of movement you want. Stretches. I often like to just like go here and stretch the spine, hamstrings, wider legs, maybe a little bit more narrow legs here, and then like just maybe reach the side from my body and do this stuff, covering the body. It's very intuitive movement and sort of like soft rehabilitating flow around. Kind of like just enjoy some natural feeling movement. That's a great way to actually regain energy. One of the best for this I must recommend is the new program, which is the morning routine 20xx, because that is actually all about like creating energy right from the morning by doing this sort of movement routine where you move every single joint in your body. But you can also do these movements throughout the day. Like if you have a hard time maybe coming up with some movements, then I recommend to check out the morning routine 20xx because it has a full routine filled with these different sort of flowing exercises you can do to energize your body and start feeling better. Because those you can do any time of the day, even after a work day. I think it might feel pretty amazing or make your body feel really good. Eric Forbes, thank you very much for that. So you finished 1 week of movement to XX, loving it. That's really nice to hear. What amount of sleep? Well, at least 8 hours, I'd say. Or let's see. Really love the Monkey Kung Fu Master videos, just amazing. That's cool. There's actually more coming. Okay. I think that's about it. It's been really nice to talk to you. We'll see if I want to keep another live again. You have a lot of questions and I have a lot to answer. But let's see, maybe next week already before I go to the travels. Or it might be that next live call will come from Taiwan actually, where I will update you about the situation of what's going on there. So we're actually meeting the Kung Fu Master again. Very, very excited about this. We have a lot of plans what we're going to be doing. And that's about it, guys. It was good to talk to you. Stay strong.